My boyfriend, James, won't accept that I want to end our relationship. We've been together for a little over a year and started living under the same roof in November. Before that, everything seemed fine. We lived in separate areas, so we mostly spent weekends together. We got along, kept in touch regularly through calls and texts, did activities together, and even met each other's families. We used to handle any problems by talking and figuring things out. That's why we thought moving in together was the next step. But after we moved in, things started changing. James became overly attached. He started acting like we had to be together every second of every day. He stopped going out as much. I work from home, so suddenly we were around each other constantly. I tried to talk to him about it, but he made it seem like I was the problem. He said I wasn't spending quality time with him, that just being in the same room didn't count. So I started putting effort into giving him full attention every day without distractions. But it didn't help. It got worse. He started having mood swings. If we were invited somewhere, he'd suddenly say he didn't feel like going, but told me I could still go alone. Then, within half an hour of me being out, he'd blow up my phone with messages. If I didn't reply right away, he'd send texts like, "I won't be here when you get back," or "You're not going to like what you come home to." When I'd return, whether I came back quickly or not, he'd be crying, saying I don't care about his feelings or that I ignore him. At first, I tried to be understanding. I said sorry. I tried harder. But then he started accusing me of seeing someone else. He'd say it wasn't because of anything I did, just his own insecurities, but he needed reassurance. That made sense the first couple of times, maybe even the third. But by the 15th time, it was exhausting. We were never apart long enough for me to be seeing anyone else. We're barely separated for more than 10 minutes. Arguments started happening over absolutely nothing. He'd just walk into the room shouting. Then came the invasion of privacy. He read my personal journals. He either got into my phone or installed something to spy on it. He'd ask me about things I'd written or messages I'd sent, then lie and say he just happened to see it over my shoulder. This past week was the worst. We were out having dinner and suddenly, out of nowhere, he brought up our relationship issues in the middle of the restaurant. We had been having a good day, laughing, enjoying ourselves. Then just like that, he wanted to talk about serious problems in a very public place. I told him it wasn't the right time or setting, but he wouldn't stop. He kept pushing, and since I wasn't giving him the reaction he wanted, he said we had to leave, because I was making him look bad. We walked out without even touching our food, which we'd already paid for. On the way home, I started crying quietly. That's when he began yelling and driving recklessly. I asked him to slow down, and he slammed the brakes twice, hard, on the interstate. We could have caused a crash. I tried to get out of the car, but he wouldn't let me. For the whole 2-hour drive home, he kept yelling. That night, I ended things. I told him I was done, but he refuses to move out. He said if I want him gone, I'll have to go through legal eviction. He begs. He cries. He takes my car key so I can't leave. He says he'll hurt himself. I don't want to go to my aunt's house. She doesn't need this kind of stress. I have no other nearby family. Nowhere else to go. I can start the eviction process, but that takes weeks. He keeps promising he'll change. But honestly, even if he could, I don't care anymore. I'm done. I just don't know how to get him out of my life without things getting worse. I contacted the police, a lawyer, even the local judge. They all said the same thing. Unless he physically hurts me, there's nothing they can do. I even tried to get a civil no-contact order. Same answer. Extra info. I was married once before. My ex was abusive and secretly seeing his first wife again while we were together. We divorced in 2014, and not long after, he married her again. She passed away within a year, very suspicious circumstances. 2 years after our divorce, he died from a heart attack after falling asleep at the wheel and hitting a truck. He had a son, now 17, who I raised for many years. I lost a boyfriend in 2017. He died in a car accident coming home from work. In 2018, I dated someone who cheated and drank heavily. We split up in October 2023. I met James 2 months later, in December. Yeah, I know it wasn't a big gap, but at the time, I just wanted a fresh start. Now, I'm not asking whether I should leave. I know I should. I just want advice on how to handle this until I can legally get him out of my home. I own the place, so there's no landlord to turn to. The police, the courts, and even my lawyer all say their hands are tied unless he puts his hands on me. Update 4 months later. A week after that post, I started the eviction process. I also locked my bedroom and office to keep some space from him. I tried not to argue, kept things calm. I just wanted to survive until the eviction went through. But James didn't take it well. His behavior got worse. One minute he'd cry, the next he'd yell. If I didn't respond to him quickly, by text or in person, he said I was ignoring him. Didn't matter if I was working, cleaning, or driving. It was constant pressure. A week before the eviction was final, I told him I wouldn't reply to one of his messages because I was busy. He immediately sent 3 more long texts. I set my phone down and got up to walk away. He snapped. He threw me to the ground before I even reached the door. Slammed my head and arm against the floor. Tried to force himself on me. Then headbutted me, gave me 2 black eyes. Afterward, he took my phone, grabbed his stuff, and drove off. It happened on a Friday night. My cousin and a friend came to stay with me right after. That night, my friend found a hidden camera inside the fireplace. We took photos and removed it. We searched the house. Didn't find more cameras, but we did find a GPS tracker on my car. The basement door to the outside had been tampered with. The inner basement door had a chain lock, but we discovered the screws were cut short and pushed in loosely. Just a little force, and the chain would break free. We documented everything with photos. That weekend, he kept calling and making threats. Claimed he was back in his hometown, but I'm convinced he was parked nearby, watching the house. On Monday, I filed for a no-contact order with the court. He was arrested later that day on unrelated charges while heading back to his town. The order was granted. He's still in jail. Recent. Emotionally, it's been tough. I didn't realize how much damage all of this did to me mentally. I'm looking into therapy now. My physical injuries healed. Just bruises and swelling. No permanent harm. I'm focused on myself. I don't know when he'll be released, but the system will notify me. To everyone who helped. Thank you. Your advice meant everything. Bonus advice from comments. A former law enforcement worker messaged and said, "You should move." Victim support groups sometimes help pay for relocation. Even a domestic violence shelter would be safer. The kind of man James is, he's capable of worse. Make sure law enforcement has everything on file, photos, damage, injuries, GPS cameras, so if anything ever happens to you, there's a record pointing back to him. Stay safe. My reply to that advice. The house I live in belonged to my grandparents. My aunt, who I help out, lives just down the street. My adult son lives nearby too, in a care facility. Leaving this area would mean leaving them, and I just didn't think I could. But I also know staying isn't wise. Final update. I listened to your advice. I told my aunt everything. She agreed to buy the house from me, so it stays in the family. We hired help for her and set up meal delivery. I talked to my son too. He told me he'd rather I be safe. My boss helped transfer me to a different office, but told me I can move anytime. It won't affect work. I'm working with a domestic violence support group now. I have an advocate helping me through this. It's stressful. I'm overwhelmed, but I'm finally doing what I need to do to stay safe. I'm sad and angry at myself for getting my family caught up in this mess. But I'm making things right now.